Take two.
I want to thank everyone for coming out this afternoon. Is it still afternoon? I think coming out for my dad today. I think everyone who's known him has found him to be a pretty amazing, remarkable guy. And it's still really hard to believe that he's gone. But I'm just really happy to see the people that have come out here to pay a little respect. And I think it's a beautiful spot. And he's probably right now looking down on us and saying, you know, I would really love this party. I'd really love to have everyone here, you know, telling me how wonderful I am. But it's all true. I'm going to turn the mic over to Libby here, who, aside from being a longtime friend, also married me and my wife, married my brother and his wife, and I feel like knowing her forever.
Can everyone hear me? I can hear myself, I think so. First of all, I want to say that I'm honored to have this privilege to be the one to officiate here for Ed's memorial and celebration of life. And I know that the family thanks you for being here, and so we all appreciate gorgeous weather, great background setting. I'm going to start off with a little bit of information about Ed that I got from Noah and Tracy. So this is coming from them and their special thoughts about their dad. We're gathered here today to remember and celebrate the life of Ed Waller. Sidney Edinger Waller, or Ed to his family and friends, was born on February 3rd, 1948 in Orlando, Florida, but lived the majority of his life in Miami. Ed was the eldest of two boys born to Nellie Hart and Sidney Waller. He and his brother Gary grew up just off of 103rd Street near Hialeah, which is a very different town than it is today. Ed lived life to the fullest, and years later he would tell his kids about spontaneous trips that he would take to other states with his friends and legendary concerts that he attended. Ed's son Noah has memories of his dad as an adventurer, leading the family on hikes along the trails through the Appalachian and Smoky Mountains, and being in a cast for months after a skydiving accident. Ed's daughter Tracy said she remembers her dad taking the family to Rock Springs, which by the way they visited on their trip down here, every year, and she just appreciates the time he spent with his kids and with his grandkids. Ed was a pinball wizard. He loved video games long before they were cool, and surprisingly he was a good cook. He radiated curiosity, fearlessness, and strength to his children, and later to his grandchildren. Ed was defined by his humor, his unexpected warmth, and his love of animals and rock and roll. He went to great lengths to help those in need, and the recipients of his generosity were people as well as feathered and furry creatures. Each day that he was able, he would spend time here at this park, feeding the ducks and the birds so that they wouldn't wander into the road looking for food. This routine brought Ed peace and allowed him to help the world one animal at a time. Throughout his life, he adopted several animals and mourned deeply when his beloved bird Allie and dog Prince passed away. He loved to share his view of the world, whether that meant discussing the Mighty Dolphin games or a unique, out-of-the-way restaurant that he had just discovered. However, his love for music was without equal, and he would greatly enjoy sharing new finds and old gems with those that he loved. Ed's love of life, nature, friendship, family, and rock and roll is how his family believes that he would like to be remembered. Ed lost his father in 1963 and his mom in 2003. He also lost his younger brother Gary not long after his mother passed away. And although Ed has now joined them, his legacy lives on in the family that he leaves behind. His daughter Tracy, son Noah, his grandchildren Dorothy, Olivia, Wally, Adrian, Carmen, Alyssa, Emily, and Ian, as well as his great-grandchildren, Gabriel, Tony, Alex, Christian, and Sebastian. He also leaves behind his ex-wife Ondina, son-in-law Ted, daughter-in-law Sarah, grandson-in-law Jose, and his better half for many years, Beth. And all of you who loved him dearly, many of who are family to him. At this time, I'd like to share what Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8 says about the seasons of life. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. There's a time to search, and a time to give up. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. A time to tear, and a time to mend. There's a time to be silent, and a time to speak. There's a time to love, and a time to hate. There's a time for war, and there is a time for peace. This is Ed's final season. It's time for peace. So although we must acknowledge the loss of Ed, today we are here to celebrate his life and the presence in our lives. So at this time, if anyone would like to share with us what Ed meant to you, tell a funny story or something touching about him, how he affected your life, quote lyrics from his favorite song, please feel free to do so now.
Almost 30 years ago, I met Ed. I fell hard for him right from the beginning. Crazy, head over heels. He was everything to me for a very long time, always treating me with respect and with his special kind of love. And because of our relationship, my son Matt and his son Noah are truly brothers. I'm so proud of you two, and I love you both. 2 weeks ago, I learned a lot of things about Ed I never knew. The outpouring of condolences has been overwhelming. From old friends of more than 40 years, his children and grandchildren, the kids and the staff in our neighborhood, and through Facebook, even though he could never figure out how to use his iPhone or look at Facebook. I'm awed at how many lives he touched. Bruno, over there, Bruno, came to my door with a bouquet of flowers and a card the night Ed passed. I think he summed things up perfectly. He wrote, Ed was like a second father to all of us who grew up here. He took me to my first baseball game and taught me how to throw a perfect pitch and spiral. I didn't even know Ed could throw a baseball. Bruno continued, my life would not be where it is now if not for him. I remember barely speaking English and him making me smile. He was the greatest role model I could ever have asked for as a child. Thank you, Bruno, for those beautiful and meaningful words. One of Ed's favorite lines was, don't tell me what to do. He lived his life on his own terms. He loved me and his family. He loved his friends. He loved his music and feeding the ducks here at the park. And he really loved his dog, Prince, and his birds, especially Allie. They are probably together now, listening to some old rock and roll. Ed was too young to leave this world, but the important thing is not how many years he had in his life, but how much life he had in his years.
Amen.
Testing. Hi. I'm Shoshana. My husband Jerry and I have known Ed for 30 some odd years as a friend through Gravy Graves. I had something written down, but don't have it, so I'm going to wing it. Okay, thanks. there are many things that define a man. A lot of times you'll hear about all kinds of awards and prestigious. Thank you. Oh, good. I'm glad I don't have to remember because apparently I quit drinking wine just in time for senility to set in, so now I got an idea. Many things define a man, and they're often world acknowledged things like awards and certificates and so forth. But for me, what defined Ed was one of the things that defined Ed was his tender, loving devotion to his dog Prince. Prince has come up a lot here. Prince was older than the earth itself, and it began to feel like Prince was going to be around forever. And so now it's obvious that when Prince did lay his head down a few months ago, it was in order to get there first and show his buddy around. You never saw Ed without Prince or Allie. And as Beth has pointed out so insightfully, I'm sure they're together, no doubt in my mind. Okay, let me find what I have. Bear with me, thank you. I was trying to remember when we first met Ed, and I just couldn't place the moment. We always knew Ed, but I do remember where, and it was through Gravy Graves. Back in the day when Gravy Graves was the hub of happenings, an open house of food, drink, and friendship, Ed was there. We were always happy to see Ed. Gravy's house was more than a home. It was a sanctuary for the traveler, whatever their journey. Some stayed longer than others, but Ed was an upbeat constant throughout the years. I wish I had an anecdote like, oh, there was this one time, but nah. It's kind of like that old joke in the 60s, if you were there, you don't remember it. There were Halloween parties that are legends to this day, and Ed was always there right in on the planning and the fun, surprises, goofy stuff, kid stuff. But eventually, most of the group split and moved on, but Gravy, Jerry, and Ed stayed in each other's orbit. When the property was sold, where we all lived, I literally had no place to go. Then the stars aligned. My husband Jerry would renovate a home that Ed owned, and in exchange we would live upstairs. As Gravy and Jerry showed, old beer drinkers just keep going and going, but eventually arthritis forced Jerry to lay down his hammer, and we became renters, sometimes needing creative financing. But Ed's patience and grace in working with us kept a roof over our heads to this day, to this very hour. Ed's kindness extended to the natural environment, animals. He volunteered for native plants, his tender devotion to Prince in his later years. I know he loved the Lovin' at Grenell's Park, the Bluegrass Festival. In fact, just this last Sunday, as I was driving by Grenell's, I saw the sign advertising the Bluegrass up there last Sunday. Oh, man. All these things I remember. Ed was a man with a big heart, which is now at rest. Too soon. Rest in peace, friend.
Thank you, everyone, for being here, commemorating Ed. Thank you. I met Ed a long time ago after coming out of the Miami Herald. There was a church next to the Herald, and we were both admiring the stained glass windows. And from then on, we remained friends even after we got divorced. And he was a good man and a great father, and we will all dearly remember him. And rest in peace. Thank you.
about 8, and my grandpa didn't come with me. But the time that I was in Miami, my grandpa showed me one thing, and that was how to be happy. And I never really got the chance to say thank you to him, but it just him being in my life really made a big change, and I'm really gonna miss him. And, you know, he's shown all my siblings and nephews how to be happy too. Just I'm gonna miss him.
Hi guys. I knew Eddie for over 40 years. We and Ed were like brothers. I can't put it any other word. I was brothers with his brother Gary. Me and Eddie, we did just about everything together. We went to see the Rolling Stones in Orlando together. We had a car lot. We sold used cars together. We traveled together. We got high together. We drank together. We lived together. I helped him raise at least one kid. He's here. Crazy. And I have a big hole in my heart. But you know, it's one thing about Eddie, he was the kind of person that you could count on. Okay, no matter what happened in the past, no matter what problems we both went through, we had our arguments, we had our disagreements, you know. You're not friends with somebody unless you have all that. So we've seen both sides, the good side, the bad side. But I have nothing but fond memories of Ed because he was there for me more than anybody else, even people in my own immediate family. He took care of my little dog when I went in the hospital. I seen him take care of Prince until Prince took his last breath. I cried with him when he lost his bird Allie, who he was very close with. And you know, I think he's up there in heaven, and he's probably surprised, just like I am, to see how many people cared. He left a lot behind. He left more than he probably, you know, ever knew. You know, he really did. And all I can say is, I miss you, Eddie. You know, I'll still root for the Dolphins, the Canes, and I'll put a beer out for you. Even I can't drink anymore, I'll put a beer out for you in every game, just so you'll be there in spirit, which I know you will. Thank you, guys.
I never got to know him how I wanted to. When I was in kindergarten, I came to visit him. I didn't know him very well, but I know he was a nice guy, that he always had a smile on his face, and that he would be there when I needed him. I miss you, Grandpa.
I remember when we would feed the ducks together with him, with Carmen and Wally, and I remember with Adrian being so crazy. And today was a very nice day with TC and my cousins and everyone here to be with and share stuff with him. And I'm glad that we're with everybody that I know, some people that I know. And we miss you, Grandpa.
Carmen? Did you? As you've probably heard from a few of the stories we've talked, my dad loved music, and it kind of became one of the really unifying ways that we were all able to communicate. There are to limit it to 1,000 things that I could say about him would be very difficult. I could keep you all here all day, and I know a few of you would probably stay. But he had so much that he wanted to share with everybody that he loved, and he had so much love in his heart for everybody that was close to him. So if you're here today, if you've known him, or if you've known Tracy or I, it was his very unique, very amazing love for everything that he touched that is what brought us all here together. And I wish that he could be a part of this, walking around with us. But so we're going to try to do a little something for him here, and this is a little improvisation here. So I'm not a guitarist, so this should also be a lot of fun. It's a song I wrote a few years ago, and playing it with bandmate Sean here, son Adrian, Emily on the flute, two of my dad's long great friends, John and Serge, respectively on drums and bass. Oh, and hold on, I forgot to plug in. Some should bury their fathers, too soon we're in the ground. So suddenly we've lost you, wings failed and hope was drowned. Sky was clear the day you left us, I miss you, my friend. I like to believe we'll fly again. to believe we'll fly again. I like to believe we'll fly again. Since you're there than others, I like to believe we'll fly again. I like to believe we'll fly again. We're gonna try one more because, you know, my dad liked this song. He never got to hear that one, so I got to play him something that he would know. Otherwise, he's gonna just kind of go along with it. Emily, I need your flute solo on this song. Yeah. So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain, and you color green field, the cold steel rain, you smiled with it. Did you think you can tell? And did they get you the train? The heroes and ghosts, hot ashes from trees, hot air from a cool breeze, looking for change. Did you exchange a walk on pond and a walk with a leading role in a cage? Part if you know the words. How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, falling over the same old ground. What we found, same old fears. Wish you were here. Thank you, guys. Going to introduce my niece and nephew, Carmen and Ian. I think this concludes the park portion of our celebration today. And my dad really appreciates every single one of you coming out here, as do all of us who loved him. And thank you very much for being here and helping us through this and helping celebrate this really amazing person who brought so much to my life, and I think everyone else is here in some way, shape, or form. Thank the band also.